Cool. Welcome to the show, Bondcast, James Bondcast. This is one of our final episodes, or I don't know.
Our 1 billionth episode.
Can we say that? Can we say final? It's not really our final.
It's
episode.
our final. It's our penultimate Bondcast episode.
Our penultimate Bondcast.
We will be doing no more.
The Bondcast recap episode be the penultimate Bondcast episode.
It's kind of a bonus episode. This is like our final, our second to last movie talking about episode of the James Bond series.
That is correct.
And we have decided to go out with a
because we easily could have. I mean, this movie, No Time to Die, has been pushed 7 months. We could have continued this revisitation segment and.
Yeah, we basically
do all of
we
them.
could have just redone every single episode that we just spent 2 years doing.
But honestly, we spent so much time building up to the next thing that we're just ready to move on. So here we are, Moonraker. Take it or leave it.
Moonraker, take it or leave it. That should have been the ad campaign for this movie. Hey, Moonraker, take it or leave it.
Well, after watching Moonraker, I almost wish we were doing them all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so we could do some better
Watching
ones.
it again, it made me feel like I just watched. I was like, when did we do this one? It was like over a year ago, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It was
I
2018
remember
July.
it just like it was yesterday plus a year.
That's crazy. Yeah, it felt like an old friend
It
revisiting.
was so good. I did a standing ovation in my living room.
It felt like an old friend revisiting my apartment and then stinking up my bathroom and then leaving. I was like, man, what a turd.
Damn it. Nothing's going to change, is it?
I feel like nothing is going to change in this one, unfortunately.
I did get to watch it with two people today. My roommate came out of his room from whatever work he was doing, and my other roommate's little sister is in town sleeping on the couch. And she was just like camped out on the couch, and I was like, I have to watch Moonraker now, and she's like, I don't know what that is.
And what was their take? Was it
they
more
both were like, oh, this is kind of bad, but they were both won over by the end.
by the end? Okay, yeah, it is. Definitely.
I got several laugh out louds.
You're not supposed to. It's a James Bond movie. You're not supposed to be laughing at it like it's an Austin Powers movie, which is the problem with this film.
Well,
because it's like an Austin Powers movie in that it's a comedy, but it's not like an Austin Powers movie in that it doesn't have any actual jokes in it.
Which part did they laugh out loud at?
oh, the Venice thing, obviously, and
The pigeon doing the double take. See, this should disqualify them from having an opinion about this at all. This is. I feel like my cats made some noise at that, like
They
because
coughed up
I didn't watch this with other
hairball.
people, which might have made it more fun. I watched it by myself with my cats, who treated it the same way they treat all the movies, with complete indifference. But even they sort of groaned at the pigeon thing. They were like, "Oh, what are you doing, guys?"
no, they were probably hungry for pigeon.
No, they were
Delicious
just
pigeon meat.
no. They were full.
Yeah,
They were full of.
I bet pigeon meat is real good to cats.
They were full of camp. They were like, "Oh, that's enough."
You know what? It's great. It's maybe not supposed to be as funny as it is, and scientifically speaking, it may be
Really dumb.
really.
Is there a way to measure
dumb.
dumbness in a movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this. It has dumb moments, but I think overall, as a viewing experience, as a film, if you had never seen a James Bond movie, didn't have any expectations of what you were supposed to feel from watching a James Bond movie, I think overall this movie works.
You're gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
No.
it is fun.
Counterpoint: this movie is a wet fart, and you guys are taking crazy pills. I thought it might have been me. I was like, "Am I the only one who thinks this movie's horrible?" So I looked at the critical and commercial consensus, and audiences thought it was bad, and critics thought it was like everyone agrees that this is one of the worst movies in the franchise.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I read I didn't do much research this time, but last time I remember reading that, yes, the reviews at the time were that it was bad, despite it being a financial commercial success. Yeah,
But at this point, they all made money. It was coming off one of the greatest films in the entire franchise.
yeah, right. And this one, it had achieved like the highest amount of money, and it held that until GoldenEye was the next movie that like financially.
Because those
did
people
better.
who spent all that money on those tickets, they didn't know it was bad yet. They were going to the theater like, "Ooh, I loved The Spy Who Loved Me. This will be great." And then they all walked out going, "Wah, wah, wish I had that money back." And then they were so scarred by the disappointment of Moonraker that they didn't go to see any of the subsequent movies and allowed Moonraker to hold that title. basically Moonraker was coasting on the success of The Spy Who Loved Me.
No.
But
When they got out, they were like, did you see when those astronauts climbed out of the space shuttle and the other astronauts climbed out of the space station and they just lasered the hell out of each other out there in space? And then the
so
other
odd
person was like,
that's the moment
I
you
don't
go to.
understand why that happened. And then the other person was like, I'm hyped as fuck.
Let's go watch Star Wars again.
This movie is like, okay, you know what I was thinking about a lot is the end of Moneyball when he takes him in the little room with the film room and he's like, this is what's his name? He's like a
Kevin Youkilis. Was it Kevin Youkilis at the end of Moneyball?
no, I thought it was a black guy.
Oh, well, there's a big difference there.
Kevin Youkilis is still white, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay, all right.
He remains white.
They're watching the film and he's like, this guy, you know, he's like a big guy and he doesn't know what he's he hits a home run but he doesn't know it, right? And they're watching it in the room and he's trying to tell Brad Pitt, like, this is what you did, like, you're really upset because you didn't win a World Series, but what you did is like an incredible like miracle of success and achievement. You don't understand how well you've done. This James Bond movie is like that. It's supposed to be the greatest James Bond movie of all time, and they spent that much money, and they didn't make the greatest James Bond movie of all time, but they made like one hell of a picture.
a crowning achievement of
Yeah.
cinematic.
They still hit a home
I like how
run.
you call it a picture like you're a 1920s studio exec. I got this great picture here.
I do that.
You won't believe it. It's you like pigeons doing double takes? We got that.
The pigeon looks again.
Spacemen?
Spacemen.
We got that too.
Lasers.
Gondoliers? We got so many gondoliers. We got cable car gondoliers. We got Venice gondoliers.
My favorite part is on the cable car when Jaws jumps from one to the other, and they do that amazing cut. Yeah.
That seamless 3-cut edit to hide the fact that he can barely move and that there's nothing. You know what? I was that was one of the moments where I was like, there's a shot, like a wide shot of stunt people fighting on an actual cable car, and for like it only lasts for a couple of seconds, like maybe a second and a half. And I was, for a second and a half, I was like, damn, that looks pretty good. And then they immediately cut back to James Bond and Richard Kiel slowly chasing each other around and slowly, haphazardly swinging limp fists at each other. And I was like, oh, and here we're back to this.
Well, that's the way it had to be done.
I actually watched the behind-the-scenes documentary that came with the DVD, and they talk about that whole sequence.
Did they interview the 6 puppets that played Jaws?
It took 40 men to control the animatronic.
The puppeteers.
Yeah. 10 people alone just for his teeth. No,
What they
that
should have done is hundreds of trained mice inside some kind of a skin
like
suit.
a sack. Yeah.
A skin suit sack. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh man.
It's been done before in a lot of films.
You'd be surprised. Yeah.
Tom Hanks doesn't exist. He's just
Yeah,
a sack of
he's
mice,
Yeah.
and he has been for 40 years.
He
Every
got,
time
he got
you see
replaced
Tom-
during the second season of Bosom Buddies. They
Yeah.
were like, hey, can we get the skin sack mice to come out here and do Tom's scene for him? And then they were like, you know what? These skin sack mice are actually pretty good.
They're fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, do they do drama? Because Hanks can't do drama at all.
Can we get that sack of 200 mice for this picture?
The second 200 mice wants to do Philadelphia. It's an AIDS movie. We keep on telling them it'll kill their careers. They're convinced they're going to win an Oscar.
There was a weird outtake in Philadelphia where the sack of mice had to like kiss his boyfriend, and he just ripped open and all the mice that came out. And a lot of people were bit.
I mean, Antonio Banderas kind of freaked out, but he came back and finished the scene. A real pro, that guy.
Yeah, that made his career actually.
You know, they said that the mice couldn't do it because they would have made Philadelphia too cheesy.
Oh,
Wow.
well, on that note, let's move on.
You know, Philadelphia cheese.
All right. So there are so many terrible things. You know, in listening to just the first, 40 minutes of our last podcast we did on this, I was shocked that Matt likes it so much because he's just said nothing but bad things about it for the first. I was convinced we were on the same page. But this time, in the in the interest of our little experiment, I tried to focus on things that I legitimately enjoyed about this movie. And I found some of them.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah. So
What's number one?
I didn't have them.
Can't get the words out.
I didn't have them in order. And now that I'm scrolling through my notes, it's mostly just things that I hated because there's so many of them. It really is one of the worst in so many ways. So I would like to talk a little bit more about the girl getting chased through the woods by the attack dogs.
Yeah, I knew you would.
It's awesome. It's an awesome scene. It feels like it's from a different movie.
Yes, it does.
But it's an awesome scene, and the music there is fucking creepy. And it's a horrific way to kill off
die,
somebody.
yeah.
The part when Manuela almost dies is also super creepy.
Yes,
and cool.
yes. I feel like the jaws in a giant clown head should have been like an alternate character for the GoldenEye video game. I swear this should have been one of the all-time creepiest moments. Of course, then he is immediately thwarted by Girls Gone Wild Rio. Once again,
totally believable.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, just part of the cartoonish Wile E. Coyote antics of what was formerly one of the really great henchmen in the series.
Also, the way they handle the scene where the scientists die in the room, like all the creepy parts are like kind of cool, kind of creepy.
They should have made a horror movie. I thought the reveal of the space station
Yeah,
when they're
yeah,
in the
that's what I was
dark
just
and
gonna
it
say.
comes out of the shadows. That's like a great moment too, with like great music and a great like they
Really?
created these moments that are like iconic, or that could have been iconic.
But I'll tell you what deflates it.
The fact that you could probably see it with the naked eye from the ground, and yet it's invisible to radar.
I don't know about that.
Oh, wait. Are you going to start poking
It's
holes in
huge.
things in this
That's
movie
what our
now?
job is
'Cause,
today.
okay,
Your
all
job
right.
is to praise this movie, and our job is to poke holes in
I
it.
don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
he
You
can't.
you
he
have
can't,
to defend it.
No, he can't handle this. Colin cannot handle poking holes in this.
How
I'm
does the
shocked he did-
radar? How does the radar jamming system work, Harris? Like, couldn't we've seen telescopes. It's 1979 telescope technology. It's up to par for what? Seeing stars from other solar systems. You could see Uranus, obviously.
Only with a mirror.
And there isn't just a guy who's
So,
like,
yes.
hey, there's a city up there.
Yes, some guy with a telescope could probably see the space station. I have no idea. I'm not a space station scientist. I just thought the reveal of the space station coming out of the shadows was really effective filmmaking.
But it's deflated by Dr. Goodhead's terrible acting.
She is awful, right? I mean, she is awful,
No.
and that's why I was surprised that like you praised her last time in the podcast, and then Matt was like, "Yes, on second thought, I have it in my notes. She's bad."
Yeah,
and
that was funny.
I think I just mindlessly
He's like,
agreed.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
it
yeah,
was
she's
good or
good. And then
something.
I thought about
Wait a
it.
minute, I'm
looked
looking at my
I was
notes
like,
here
no,
and
wait, I
she's-
hated it.
I hate to bag on actors for not being good, but she's not good. She's just
Especially in that scene, because that's when they start doing the fake anti-gravity
The
thing.
fake
Yeah.
She's
anti-gravity.
like moving around slowly
yeah,
like this.
she isn't even good enough to act like she's floating.
Yeah,
Yeah, not a great. And her line delivery is so
So bad.
brutal the entire time. Like anytime she's trying to be like flirty and charismatic, it's like so robotic and
She's not that
forced.
bad.
Also, like
She's that bad.
after the scene when Bond is in the G-force
G-force
thing. I don't know what
machine,
that's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gets out and he's like sweating.
Roger
His
Moore's
hair's messed
really
up. Like
doing
he
some
looks-
work
He's
there, yeah.
doing some work. Yeah. And he falls down and like you could tell that she didn't know what to do as an actor. Like he maybe was supposed to say a line or like wasn't supposed to fall right there.
She
or
wasn't
something.
reacting in the moment.
Yeah,
She was like
she
waiting
was just
for
waiting
her
for him
line
to
or
say his
whatever.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to be honest, I noticed a lot more this time that she's not a good actress, but I still like her a lot. She just seems like a cool chick.
I'm sure she's a wonderful person. I just wish she was doing something other than acting in James Bond movies.
She wasn't really in much else, right?
No, this is pretty
I
much
think
it.
there's a few lines there where they're having the back and forth where he's being kind of sexist and she's like coming up against it and
But
telling him like not to be. A few of those lines
she was lacking
she's doing
sass.
okay.
I
Yeah.
felt like she had the material to work with. She just wasn't nailing the moments.
Yeah,
He was obnoxious there. It should have been easy for me to get on her side there, especially when it's like she's like, "Oh, this is a space shuttle. It does this," and he interrupts her to tell her what the space shuttle does.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're the one who asked for a tour of the facility, jackass. Shut up. You know, like,
exactly.
I know you know everything, but this isn't charming. This is fucking annoying to
Yeah.
interrupt somebody to finish their sentences.
What I thought was great was so I watched, as I mentioned, I watched the behind the scenes documentary, and they interview everyone, and everyone is framed from like the stomach up kind of thing, but then for whatever reason when they interview her, it's like an extreme close up on her face, and it's like canted a little bit. And I thought that was odd. I don't know if that was just like hey, she's a woman, let's like showcase her beauty or something, right? And then the other weird thing is that she talks about her character and how she's like a step above Bond girls of the past. Like she gives Bond a little bit something back. You know, she can give it back. She doesn't do that at all in the movie. And her name's Dr. Goodhead.
Yeah.
It's like a step back in every way possible for female rights and whatever, you know?
She's not that bad.
No, she's that bad.
She's not that bad.
Another thing I liked.
Oh, did you see that one part when when they come out of the glass museum and she has that like dress on and she's not wearing a bra underneath?
You sounded like a real perv right there.
So,
but yes, we all know what you're talking about.
I guess we know what Colin's talking about when he says she's not.
It's
a
just
good
a really
actress,
pretty
but-
dress. That's all.
Yeah.
What color was
Still
it?
approves of her.
That's all I'm saying. What color? Like brown and shiny and gray with stripes.
gray and brown and green. It's just
It
definitely
wasn't
shiny.
green.
It was definitely nipple. All right. So I did think, speaking of the Glass Museum, another moment I liked was not the fight in the Glass Museum, which was whatever. Kind of, it reminded me of like a Pink Panther thing or something, like a comedic slapstick.
You know what I think about every time is that he has a vial of toxic gas that could kill everyone in an entire room's
And you know
radius
who else thought about that?
the whole time.
You know who else thought about
in
that?
a glass tube?
The script coordinator, as soon as the scene was over, was like, "Hey, doesn't he have a poisonous glass tube in his pocket?" And then they're like, "Oh yeah, let's do a shot of him checking to make sure it's intact."
Yeah.
That'll make everything okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit! That maybe we should rewrite the scene. No,
literally-
never mind. We'll just give him a moment.
They literally break all the glass in a room that has more glass than any other room.
Yeah.
And the thing in his pocket didn't break.
One thing I don't like about this: two of the lamest henchmen in the history of James Bond movies.
Cha,
Yeah,
who you
Cha,
called Chang
who's-
in the
who's
last episode
bad-
about this.
Bad,
You
bad
racist.
Yeah. Well, no. I was playing into the racial stereotypes that they have reinforced in this movie, where he's always in a gi,
Yeah.
and no matter what the circumstances
With a
are,
bowl cut.
with a bowl cut, and a weird mustache, which is like just a product of the era, I guess. And then of course Jaws, who was actually Wile E. Coyote and not the good version of Jaws, really went from bar none the best henchman to one of the all-time worst. But
He's getting to do more performing in this one.
it's much to our great lament.
And I really feel the chemistry between him and the Pigtails girl. I'd like to see like
a spin-off series, just
yes.
But what I was gonna say is one thing that I do like is that Cha, who is only a danger to precious glass, goes through this whole fight, and then at the end, it actually does end well in the clock tower, where he throws him out of the clock tower, and then we get a brutal shot of a close-up of his dead face hanging out from the underside of a piano.
Play it again, Sam.
Yeah, and then he makes a quip about this man who's just brutally died by being shoved through a grand piano.
So funny.
Yeah, harsh, and actually not funny, but very brutal. I thought that was a good end of a fight.
No, it's funny because it's a reference to Casablanca.
Oh my god.
Couldn't even say it with a straight face. Oh, I also enjoyed Drax.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think fun villain, and like I think he's like unapologetically bad. He's pretty classy, and like he's funny, but in a way of somebody who has no sense of humor can be funny sometimes.
You know what else was funny? I said my roommate's little sister was on the couch, so she watched it with me. That roommate looks like Drax, and I realized it like as soon as the movie started. I'm like, hey, that looks like Alex, and she's like, it kind of does.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
Hilarious.
Nice. I'm just picturing whoever this roommate is in that kind of outfit with like the collar but buttoned up all the way.
Wait, I'll show
Colin,
you a picture.
you
I'll
left
show
the
you a
dishes
picture.
in the sink again. I will not stand for your insubordination.
I can see it.
He had like his bed frame and like all his furniture in his room like shipped over from France.
You when you complain about him doing dishes in the sink, he's like, well, take another look, and you show up and it's a different sink. It's a much bigger, nicer sink. It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that part doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, where there's a science lab that somehow in the course of and we pointed this out last time. Of course, the real fault lies with Bond, who discovers this nefarious poison-creating science lab.
Totally.
All right, let's see the picture of. Oh my,
Colin
that's pretty
is
good.
showing us a
He needs
picture.
like the slick backed hair, but yes, he's
Yeah,
got the
'cause,
he's got a Drax face.
In this
for
picture,
sure.
he has a beard, but he's had like the goatee
Oh,
before.
that's
he should
a
be him for Halloween,
run.
and you should
Totally.
be
Yeah.
Dr. Goodhead.
I want to be Cha.
Ooh, that's a little dicey.
What? I'm not gonna put on yellow face. I'm just gonna put on a gi.
Okay. Well, that's not really going to be Cha then. That's just going to be you at a gi. I'm afraid it's
Whatever.
It sounds pretty geeky.
Yeah.
What are you? What are you, a Halloween costume contest judge now?
I might be. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing next Halloween. But yeah, as we pointed out, it really should have been. Bond could have alerted the authorities to the poisonous science lab there that night, and instead he's like, "I'm gonna go get laid. This will all be there in the morning."
And does he
Yeah.
get laid in this movie?
Especially
I
since
mean,
there's like dead bodies in there, or like possibly dead bodies.
right.
Bond bangs a lot in this movie.
He
like,
does.
Every woman he comes in contact with, he's making out with them within 10 seconds.
But I don't think
Whether
you
they
ever
like it or
actually-
not.
I don't think you ever actually see him kiss any of them.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, he does.
He
Yeah, you do.
does?
It's
kisses
the
3 women in this
It's
movie.
the one who's Drax's assistant. What's Drax's assistant's name? The one who dies. The one who gets eaten by dogs.
Oh, the
starts
helicopter
with
pilot?
Corinne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he makes out with her. He's trying to get information. She's like, "Why should I give you any information?" And he's like, "Cause of this." Blah, and he makes out with her.
That's pretty much what happened.
and then she's like, "Well, what if I don't want to make out with you?" He's like, "Blah, I got a kiss for that too."
He like kind of smirks at her like,
Yeah.
who wouldn't want to make
yeah,
out with
like
me?
his argument is just another kiss. He's like, anything you throw at me, I got a kiss that's going to convince you you're wrong.
She says, "You presume a lot, Mr. Bond,"
Yeah.
and he just smiles and kisses her again.
like, I presume I'm going to kiss you again.
I feel like that bleh noise you're making is really accurate to human intimacy altogether.
It actually isn't accurate to Roger Moore kissing because they're the driest open mouth kisses you've ever seen. You just know there's just no moisture there at all.
But
Aw.
they keep using a lot of tricks to
and
like.
yes, I've been thinking about kissing Roger Moore.
Alex is laughing uncontrollably.
Alex, any thoughts?
Ew.
Well put.
I love that him talking about kissing Roger Moore is like she notices it and we're just like moving on. Me and Matt are like, yeah,
I put
yeah,
a
you
lot of
probably
thought
did
into
imagine
it.
kissing Roger Moore. That seems right.
Yeah.
Seems about right.
Um,
But he's always framed so he's not actually like the stuff that Brosnan does in his movies. He's like really, it looks way more accurate to like actual sexy time.
Well, because the
Colin's hand gestures, Net, for the audience at home, were like kind of like a reach around. Like maybe he was grabbing somebody
like
from behind.
ripping someone's hair out from
Yeah,
behind.
I don't know. I'm not sure what it was. And now Matt's got a faraway look at his eye, like he's just trying to picture Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore kissing each other. And
Hey.
how would that work?
Lots of moisture there.
Bond on Bond action.
No, in the Brosnan ones, he's always doing that thing. He like puts the mouth on the shoulder and gives him like a little bite, you know?
Oh, he's a shoulder biter. Yeah, I've heard of this.
You guys not watching the same movies
This
I'm
is an
watching?
effective technique. I haven't been slowing down and rewatching the love scenes, apparently.
The love scenes are important.
I think the movies of this era didn't have kissing the way kissing is or was in movies later on.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
probably it.
It's a little. Do people even kiss in movies anymore? I don't know. I feel like the kiss at the end of a movie is like not even a thing anymore. Like
Like the movie star kiss,
Yeah.
that final
Where the
moment.
music plays. I think
Yeah.
it's because it's kind of a cliche now.
well, yeah. I mean, it is for sure.
Maybe in like
cliche.
a rom-com or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but
Even
in the
better.
rom-com, it has to be some like a cover of a song that was cool in the 80s or whatever.
I remember when I was a kid, like every movie I watched had like a kiss at the end, and I just
Yeah.
thought that's how movies ended.
I that's what it felt like to me when I was a kid. Is like if it was either like a movie where stuff exploded or a movie that ended with a kiss and music.
Yeah.
I don't know. The only movies I can remember watching when I was a kid are the Aliens movies, and I don't think any of those.
Those
was a
aliens were
kiss.
kissing lots of people. in
Yeah,
those
those-
movies.
Those aliens were
Quite
some good
violently.
kissers.
yeah.
With a lot of tongue action, right?
Yes. yeah. Even the tongue was giving kisses.
Mhm.
That's a literal tongue kiss.
Mhm.
I mean, okay, like taking a step back and talking about this movie, like, yeah, there's like problems here and there, but like, I think what I like about this movie is, and I may have said this in the last podcast, I don't know, but it has all the Bond things that you would expect to see in a Bond movie, like to the maximum effect. Like we said, he bangs 3 different girls in this movie. I think that's more than usually.
That might be a Roger Moore record.
Yeah, it might be a record. Then the villain is great. He's like over the top, but like not, but subdued, and he's just like perfect Bond villain. The opening, the cold open is good. The stunt.
No, the cold open's fucking terrible.
Well,
it makes no sense. It's so dumb. The guys in the motorcycle club jackets hijacking a fully fueled, ready to launch space shuttle.
I'm not even
off
talking
of
about that scene where the guy looks like John Belushi.
Oh, let's talk about the other
I wrote
one.
that it's the Blues Brothers steal the Moonraker.
Because that's where it starts dumb, and then it gets even dumber when they're hiding a 7-foot tall notorious hitman in a tiny plane.
That plane's interior is nice.
Yeah, it's so nice that it must have like a whole other section where they can hide a giant human.
Little hidey hole for the
you
for
think
the
he's
giant
in a
man.
hole? What I wanted to ask was, we didn't even talk about. So was the guy the guy who is in the plane at the beginning who pulls a gun on him, who is so incompetent that even with a gun and 2 sidekicks, he cannot defeat Bond. The 2 sidekicks do not help at all for some reason. Jaws waits until after Bond has complete control and is beating the hell out of this guy to make himself known. But my question about the first dude is the helmet. Is that a skydiving helmet, or is this just part of his like henchman getup? Is this like, does he wear the helmet all the time?
That's the helmet you have a question about?
Yes.
Have you seen the other helmets in the movie?
No, but this one, I know what the other helmets are for. This one is just like this.
What is the yellow one for with the big ear pads and the forehead forward thing?
The space helmet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for space travel.
No.
Which part? Which aspect?
It's for when you put the
travel?
bigger helmet on. This is what protects your smaller head from
hitting the inside of the big
inside of a
helmet?
bigger helmet.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the ones that Bond and Goodhead are wearing when they're the pilots of the shuttle, where it has a forehead part and a back of the head part and a big
what I
gap?
was talking about. What are the other helmets that you were talking about?
I'm talking about the yellow ones with the big puff pillow on the front and the big ear pads, and then nothing on the back.
The henchmen.
The henchmen.
That are all dressed in yellow.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know what those henchmen have to do. I don't know what their job is. Maybe it involves banging their heads into things. But no, mine is the old-fashioned leather football helmet that is on the guy at the beginning for no discernible reason, which I always assumed was a skydiving helmet. But I don't know if that makes sense. Nobody else is wearing one, and he's got this helmet on for the.
Do you need a helmet for skydiving? I feel like if your parachute doesn't work, the helmet's not going to help.
I mean, I know today with our modern safety regulations, we usually use them, I think, but this guy, I don't think I think that's just something he's doing. I think that's like his own style. He's like, hey, I'm going to be the henchman with a mustache, and what do you think of this leather helmet? Is this cool or not cool? And the stewardess girl's like, oh yeah, I'm into it. I'm feeling that leather helmet. Nice.
I don't really remember. I thought it was like some kind of pilot gear, like the old World War I
he had a mustache.
They
he
have
looked like
that.
Super Mario.
One that
exactly.
goes over their whole head.
Well, it doesn't have the goggles, but I guess it could.
It does have the goggles.
No, it doesn't have the goggles.
Oh,
so I guess
just
it could
assumed
be kind
it
of
had
like
the
that.
goggles.
My other thing was we've seen the thing where the guy jumps out of a plane. Before, like we're in a movie like Point Break, where the guy jumps out of the plane without a parachute, and he has to catch the guy with the parachute and then hang on to him and pull the chute.
Yeah.
The Bond version is he jumps out of the plane, chases the guy down, beats him up in the air, steals his parachute,
and
puts
puts the parachute on,
then throws him to his death. Like it seems like a slightly more spiteful way of doing the whole thing. I know
but that's Bond.
Yeah, but it's like no, we can't both survive.
That guy
There's
tried
not
to kill
enough
him
parachute.
first.
There's not enough parachute for both of us.
That guy tried to kill him first.
That's true. It is true. I'm not saying you shouldn't have. I'm just saying it takes a lot more time to like pull a especially because it's like it's buckled around the crotch and everything. It's an elaborate thing to pull a parachute off a person in midair, and
Which he did pretty easily.
He's more concerned about making sure this guy is dead than he is about like surviving this fall. He's like, yeah, I got plenty of time. I'm stealing his fucking parachute.
It's still a really cool
in
scene
conclusion,
up until
great
the
cold open,
circus
Matt.
part. It's still up until the circus part.
That is also dumb.
I think the stunt is cool, and like the fact that you could see like that they really did the skydive. That's like something of note.
Yes,
and the stuntman who does the skydiving looks way more like him than the guy who fights the python. The guy who fights the python, it's like it's very obvious that's not Roger Moore.
It's very obvious that both the python and the guy fighting it is fake.
Yeah.
I like that in our last podcast about this movie, I think Harris pointed out that I think you said the same thing, that the stuntman looked remarkably like Roger Moore, so they didn't even have to really hide it that well.
Yeah,
but yet the stuntman for Jaws looks nothing like Jaws,
Yeah,
and you could tell
yeah.
100% that it's not him.
Yeah.
Jaws
And they
must have had
harp on
like
it.
4 or 5 different stuntmen at least too, from the
all
gondola
on the
thing.
all in the skin suit.
And
How many mice were there? in
yeah,
the
like
Jaws skin
a
suit?
normal human needs about 200, 300 mice to replace them inside a skin suit. A Jaws type guy needs about 5 to 800 mice. in
Yeah,
his
the
skin suit.
Jaws stunt mice were numbered in
But
the
that's just
800s.
common knowledge. That's like day one intro to film stuff.
Yeah, this is like how many mice does it take to fill a skin suit for a 7-footer? That's just
Yeah, it's just,
Oh, and you want to line produce my movie and you can't answer a simple question? I'm sorry. Next.
Yeah, I mean that's even the film speak lingo. You know, on a set when you hear we need a 7-footer, you know that means a 7-foot bag of mice. God.
Yeah. Classic.
I remember.
But anyway, yeah. So this movie has it all. It's got a
No.
boat chase. It's got a plane thing. It's got space. It's got women. It's got action. It's got
Lasers.
comedy, lasers.
Horses.
Yeah, it's just great. Another scene that makes no sense.
Carnivals.
When Bond, we talked about this in the last podcast. When Bond shoots the henchman in the tree, and
Yes.
then they're just like,
And
"All
then they're
right,
just like-
see you later."
All right, so we're going to act like we're still cool though, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Bond-
not so I thought it was on. Is it not on? It's not on. No, okay.
Bond is pretending like he didn't see the guy die. And
But
Drax
then
is
why
just
does he
not
say-
saying that
no,
he saw the guy
Why does
die.
he say didn't I? If that's the opposite of pretending like he didn't see him die. When Drax says you missed Mr. Bond, he says did I? That's the opposite of pretending like you didn't. That's him going.
No,
I shot,
that
I
mean
shot the guy in the tree.
That means he
what are you
thinks
talking about? He
that
missed.
a bird fell and the bird didn't fall. He
No.
missaw the flight
No.
path of the bird.
That's not what's happening there.
He's
at
like,
all.
oh, I thought the bird was affected. The bird's flight path was affected.
bad screenwriting.
It's awesome.
I would like to point out as a counterpoint to what you just said. You said it has it all. It has the worst version of so many of those things. It's really of all the cold opens. I actually looked up all the other cold opens just to decide where this ranks on the list of dumbest cold opens. And it was
And the delicatessen Blofeld one ranked
Yeah,
higher.
it's way
so-
worse.
Yes, it was tied for 5th for me. First, I have View to a Kill with a fake iceberg and the snowboarding and the Beach Boys.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh no, it's so bad. Then I had
Oh, this is ranked from
the
worst to best.
worst to best.
That's
Oh,
worse.
okay.
Yes, that is the
That's
worst.
worse than the
That is-
delicatessen thing.
Oh, it's awful. And then the delicatessen.
Okay.
And that was a close 1 or 2. And then I
Well, you're
have
wrong. The
and then I have
delicatessen one's worse.
Thunderball for the cross dressing and the jetpack, which I kind of I can almost see how that would be awesome, but I hate it. I think it's stupid.
Oh.
It's like a great concept, and then it just isn't good. And then I have this one, which is sort of it's a toss up between this one and Die Another Day, which has kite surfing and terrible CGI, but also has a rad hovercraft race, which I like.
Yeah, the kite surfing doesn't come until later in the movie.
No, it comes right at the beginning. That's how he kite surfs onto the beach to
I
look
thought they
exactly.
surf
Yeah,
surf.
yeah, you got it now. Yeah, you got
I
it
thought
now.
they surf onto the beach.
Oh, maybe they surf onto the beach and then
Yeah.
they kite surf later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
So
kites-
it's it's a combination of both the terrible things. And then I had like Tomorrow Never Dies is just a lame machine gun fight. On Her Majesty's Secret
No.
Service.
No.
Tomorrow
The
Never
jet-
Dies is an awesome one.
Yeah.
No, that's a lame. It's just like all machine gun fight, and then he flies away in the jet and comes back and blows everything up. But why was he even there?
Doesn't
If
he
he
eject the guy into the other plane?
Yeah, they have the walleye vision guy.
Yeah.
It's
vision.
it's the it's basically they're ripping off Hot Shots. So I thought that was one was pretty lame. I had On Her Majesty's Secret Service for the fourth wall breaking and the bad editing, and then I had Man with the Golden Gun because it doesn't have any Bond, and that gangster is like from Some Like It Hot or something. You know, like he's like this
Which one?
comedy Chicago gangster.
I don't even remember that.
It's where it's Scaramanga on his compound chasing the
Oh,
gangster guy.
that one's pretty
Yeah.
good.
No, it's not.
You get to
Really
see
terrible.
the fun house of murder.
But either way, this is one of the worst. Also, one of the worst songs.
Oh yeah, the song is not good.
I like the song.
Stop saying things like that.
It's smooth.
I mean,
Did you notice that the credits version is a disco version?
yes, which I actually liked a lot better. I was like, this isn't great, but I can still get into this. This is better than the one they had at the open. C-Rock worked wonders with this, by the way, on our previous podcast.
He did.
Yeah.
My mom was in the room when the song was playing, and she's like, "I don't remember this song," and I'm like, Nobody else
Exactly, yeah. One of the worst henchmen in Bond movies. I mean, they're not the worst, but they're two terrible henchmen. I count Jaws in that because they completely ruined him. one of the worst Bond girls. I thought the two other Bond girls were good, but the main one is not good.
What about all the astronauts and the eugenics project people? They should count in the henchmen or the girls section somewhere.
Okay,
I thought the
that's
eugenics
not aiding
girls were a lot hotter than the girls that they actually cast as the main characters.
I mean, I don't know how to make that call, but I like what they were doing.
I feel like they're not aiding your point. They're just eye candy in stupid yellow uniforms. They all look like bananas once they get into the space station.
Yeah.
Except for Jaws, who should have been hip to the fact that he was not involved in the eugenics program when they're like, yeah, we don't make spacesuits in freak size. Get out of here.
Oh, yeah, he's wearing fucking khakis.
Yeah, you wear your normal pants. Continue looking.
Forgot about that.
Continue looking like
Everyone's
Wreck-It
in
Ralph.
a uniform. He's got suspenders on.
Keep looking like Wreck-It Ralph cosplay. We're all wearing uniforms. No, you're part of the team. Sure, whatever.
I love how casual space travel is in this movie. Like,
Oh, so
Drax
casual.
just wears his regular clothes. He just gets in the chair and like they just launch into space.
They alert the U.S. authorities, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll throw a bunch of guys in a shuttle and get up there right away." Like 20 minutes later, they're there. And they're like, "We'll send our space force up to get
They don't
you."
even call them. They just like detect suddenly something on the radar, and they're like, "Oh, we got to send
Something weird.
30 guys up
Something
there."
Get 'em
weird. We
up
gotta send
there.
up a few shuttles.
Yeah, they're like, they don't call them from their house. They're like sitting there in the shuttle ready to go.
I imagine it like the fire department, like they're just sitting around playing like checkers, and then on the bell rings, and they all
man.
slide down the
We should have
pole.
got to see them slide down poles. Oh, damn it. If there's one thing we could go back in time and change.
Did we talk about last time the in the gravity machine that he goes in? How she says that 20 G's is actually lethal, and the machine goes up to 20 G's. Do we mention like why did they make a machine that could potentially like liquidate somebody's brains? like, and this is what you put it to if you want the person or the thing to die. Like, seems like that would be like something OSHA would be like, hey, why not just make it go up to 19? I think that's probably plenty.
Yeah,
Also,
they have a kill switch on it. Why doesn't it have a kill switch that's automatic?
Right, exactly. Like, how do they disable the kill switch for that particular
Yeah,
thing?
if you're going that fast, you might not be able to hit the kill switch because your hand
It's
is like,
it's supposed to be you hold it down and then you release it when you want it to kill.
oh, is that what they said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny that she was like, a 70-year-old can take 3 Gs. And my first reaction when she said that was like, hey, I thought we weren't supposed to talk about his age.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, I get it.
You know how
She's
I
saying, like, for example, not, you're clearly a geriatric.
You
You
know
did
what-
another decade of this.
you know what was funny is I said there were some laugh out louds.
Yeah.
When his response is there's never a 70-year-old around when you need one.
Yeah.
Alex's sister laughed. Why is that funny?
You know why it is? Because it sounds like it's supposed to be a joke. And people just are like, oh, yes, I get it.
It's like the
Ha-ha.
cadence of a
Yeah.
joke. Yeah.
I know it's a joke. I'm not sure if I understand it. I'm not even sure if it's a joke. But
That's what happens when you're watching like a really charming, fun movie. You know?
Yeah, you don't have to get the joke.
Yeah, you don't have to get the joke. You're just like, I'm having a good time.
oh god, how do they feel about the 007 branded spy camera? Everyone's
I mean,
"That's
everyone knows
awesome."
who he
Yeah.
is already, so it doesn't matter.
Did the other double O's get spy cameras?
I don't know. What I really want to know is once you get into double digits where you're like 016 or something like that, what then?
I don't think there are double O's for that. I think you're a single O at that point.
Yes, you're a single O, so how do you make a camera? If like do single O's just not get spy cameras?
No, they don't.
because
They don't. They barely get paid.
the double O's have a license to kill, and that's what distinguishes them.
Yeah, single O's have a license to like
They don't have the license to take secret pictures?
like wedgie.
I feel like they should have a license to take secret pictures, though. I just don't know what how their cameras are properly
No,
branded.
they're actually trained in sketch.
What about triple digits if you're like a 213? Agent 213 reporting for duty. All right, here's your mop. Go clean out that bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right away, sir.
You're janitorial.
I'm going to work my way up to the top.
Okay, so the part when Jaws, when they introduce him and he walks through the metal detector at the airport, did they have metal detectors at airports in the 70s?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I don't know. I mean, I was only
Probably the big
I was only
ones,
in the
not
se-
at all the airports.
Yeah.
I was only there for a couple of years, and I don't remember what the airports were like. But I feel like they've been around for my entire lifetime. So I mean, I think it's a pretty primitive.
I mean, it's a good gag. He's got metal
technology.
teeth.
Yes, absolutely. And then of course
Yeah,
the
and
guy
then
does
he
like
just
a double
walks
take.
right by the guy. He just
Yeah.
intimidates his
He
way
should
onto a
have just given him the finger.
airplane. Yeah.
Just been like, "Fuck you! You aren't the boss of me."
How-
Of course, he could have explained himself a little bit because he can talk and apparently has no problems talking and has a perfectly normal voice, but just chooses never to
It's
talk.
probably just really painful for him
Yeah.
because of those metal jaws.
Yeah.
And also, he has a hidey hole on a private plane, but he's flying commercial.
Yeah, and at his size, he should never be flying commercial. That's torture. I thought of another thing about the when Bond shoots a guy out of the tree. I'm just curious, like, because I just really, and I want to know from the expert who actually understands how it all was supposed to work out. The plan was for some sniper in a tree to kill James Bond right there.
Yes.
I mean, they've been trying pretty aggressively throughout this movie. They try pretty aggressively to kill like everywhere he goes, somebody pops up and tries to kill him.
Right.
So the plan was for the guy in the tree to shoot him with a sniper rifle. Why give him a loaded weapon? Like if your goal
why give Bond a loaded weapon?
If your goal is to shoot him with a sniper rifle and just murder him and get him out of the way, why just before that plan happens do you go, hey, here's a shotgun? No, I insist. Take this loaded shotgun. Not blanks, nothing like that. It's not. This isn't a gag. This isn't a put on. You could literally kill somebody with that thing.
Because Bond doesn't know there's a guy in the tree.
Yeah, he's trying to show. He even says, he's like, take this weapon. Like, I take this
But
loaded weapon.
why not?
Cool.
It's not like they have to lure him somewhere. They're not like he's standing out in the open already. Why give him like? Why do? He's like, he's literally just standing there. Why not just shoot
They're
him?
still waiting for those other guys to clear out. You know. Remember all the other hunting guys? Were they part of the plan? Like,
that's another good question.
are they his hunting friends and they're also part of the space station thing?
Because what if one of them turned around and was like, "Holy shit, that spy's got his brains blown out everywhere. What? Who did you shoot him with a sniper rifle? Did he get hit with a shotgun? What's going on?" And then Drax has to be like, "Yeah, one more over here. Get this guy."
One thing I noticed in the scene right before Corinne gets viciously mauled to death, she arrives in a golf cart.
Mm-hmm.
And then she runs away on foot.
On foot, yeah. And she notices that she's being pursued by dogs before she reaches the golf cart. So she easily could have just he didn't take the keys
I'll
from
take
her.
this one, Colin.
Yeah, we watch her run by the golf cart.
I feel like she was afraid that the golf cart is not an enclosed vehicle. It's not like jumping into a car. I think she was afraid that if she took the time to sit in the golf cart and get it started, and you know those things take a little while to like get to a speed, the dogs could easily have just mauled her right there in the seat of the golf cart.
That's the only thing we can think at this point.
Now, she foolishly thought that she could outrun the dogs, which I probably would have taken my chances on the golf cart. But
I think
hindsight's 20/20. It's easy for me to second guess Corinne. God rest her,
there were
her dog-eating soul.
There were a lot of trees there. She could have tried to go up, like climb a tree or something.
Yeah, that's true.
It could have
That's
been
true. I mean, she didn't have much of a lead on those dogs. I think she was kind of boned.
Yeah, honestly, the dogs would have caught her before she even got to the golf cart at all.
I don't think she
her
would.
running.
Yeah.
Her running in the woods is really a stylistic thing.
Yes. I'm glad they did it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I will forgive. But it doesn't make any sense.
You know what I was thinking later on when they're at the launch base. Those golf carts are fucking sweet looking. I would like to golf cart in one of those golf carts. Can you imagine taking one of those out on the links? Maybe doing a little donut on a fairway?
It would be amazing. I think we should race them and maybe even use them as bumper cars.
And like the other golfers
golf
in like their regular ass golf carts being like, "Oh fuck, my life sucks."
I love the launch base too. That's another thing that goes on my list of things that are great about this movie. All the sets are great, but the launch base set in particular is freaking awesome. Every different scene in all the different rooms there is cool. And actually, the rocket launches are really beautifully shot.
Yeah.
All those rocket launches, I was like, this is a gorgeous shot of a rocket being launched.
The
How old is
effects
this?
Except
are
none of it
really
makes
good.
sense.
Yeah, the
Like,
effects
if
are
you
really good.
launch a rocket from a place, you're gonna vaporize all those people who are underneath it.
Especially when you're trying to kill Bond with the flames of the rocket exhaust. So you put him in a room under the rocket where he escapes through an air vent, which leads to a room full of people. Like that rocket exhaust isn't going to go follow that path through the air vent and then vaporize all your people who are like waiting there for their rocket to go. They're like, it's, well, as always, not a lot of thought was put into everything, but some of it actually, in spite of itself, looks good.
And if you ever watched a shuttle launch, like, you know how they do the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5? Before they even get to 10, those rockets, they're already going, you know?
Yeah.
They just aren't fully
stuff's
going
shooting out,
until, and that is hot enough to, turn you into a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did notice that was pretty cool is that in the behind the scenes doc that I watched, they show it to you. It looks like, I don't know, they didn't like clean it up like they did in the Blu-ray. Like, so the picture quality looks more like film. You could see like the hair and the dust like in the lens or whatever. And it looked like to me, like you're watching an old movie. And they show the scene in Rio when he's on the cable car and everything. And like, it almost looks better because it looks worse, because in the Blu-ray, they cleaned it up so much that you can see clearly that it's a backdrop behind them, but in the old movie, like the distortion hides that a little bit.
There were a bunch of backdrops that because I think the last time I watched it, I watched an older version of it, and now I have the Blu-rays, and I was amazed how many backdrops I could clearly see. Like the rocket where Drax is talking to them above, and the rocket's there, and they're in the room underneath it. Yeah, that rocket is clearly like a matte or
the plane in the beginning.
Plane in the beginning. Yeah, there was a bunch of the.
The plane in the beginning looks real fake because there's one point where it stops in midair.
Yeah,
you can see it like kind of. You can see it going like this. Like,
I think Drax's mansion was also some kind of a matte. I
parts of it.
Yeah, parts of it were definitely. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, ooh, that's a good matte, but it's definitely you can tell.
You can see it. Well, they didn't know back then that things were going to be in high definition one day.
Yep.
Did they do use a little vignetting too to kind of mask it together sometimes?
I don't know about your fancy bullshit, Colin.
I just wanted to say vignette.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we want to talk any more about the, aside from the pigeon double take, the whole assassination attempt / gondola chase in Venice?
That's awesome. It has a hovercraft, just like you like.
How does he know where his impromptu walk with Holly Goodhead is going to end up?
Because they're by the place.
No, I know what you mean. Just suddenly his gondola is right there.
They end their conversation on this random walk, and
he's rowing behind him.
The whole time. That would have made more sense if the guy would just happened to pull up.
He's waving him away.
He did. No, he pulled up there.
No, he was parked there already, and Bond is like,
it just looks like he was parked there already because he's that good.
He's that good. He's a good spy.
He's that good. He's not a 216. He's a 016.
Stop touching your ear.
He's not a 00, but he's
The laugh out loud moment for me in that scene is when the funeral gondola comes by and the guy pops out the knife thrower and he immediately gets thrown a knife into his chest and just falls back.
He had so many knives. He had so many knives. I was like, holy shit, this guy's gonna throw all those knives. Nope, just two. Just the one for Bond to take and throw back at him. And And if you had machine guns and a knife thrower, wouldn't you be like, okay, plan A is to surprise him with machine guns. Plan B, the knife thrower. Rather than the other way around. And also, if your target is to kill Bond, don't bother with the gondolier. The gondolier's not going to do anything. Just kill Bond first.
They're not looking for notes from you.
Clearly. I would be such a better villain than these guys. Totally incompetent.
No, the best is the smoking man who sees the casket floating in the water and then he throws his cigarette away because he's giving it up.
That's not the best.
Because death is in the river.
The specter of death haunts him.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything doesn't
That's
have
a
to
laugh
be
out loud
everything doesn't have to be a joke, Moonraker filmmakers. You can go by without a gag for 1 set. This isn't actually technically a comedy.
Now, this is the same director as Spy Who Loved Me?
This is the same director as a bunch of them. Spy Who Loved Me. I think he did Octopussy. I think. I should actually look that up. I don't know if any of that's true.
Yeah, it's not like you have a computer in front of you. Right?
I do have a computer in front of me. I will look it up.
I feel like you like Octopussy more than this, and
which is
worse.
shocking. Yeah.
No, I don't like Octopussy more than this, but man, it's close.
I don't think your ratings suggest that.
What are my ratings for this?
You gave this.
You gave 2. Octopussy a 10, and this one a 0.
I didn't give. I know I didn't give Octopussy a 10. Lewis Gilbert. Lewis Gilbert did The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, You Only Live Twice. That's it.
Okay.
So he did basically this block of 3.
Basically any movie that has a massive villain lair at the end.
They are kind of all the same movie. This is beat by beat mimicking The Spy Who Loved Me, which is great because The Spy Who Loved Me is great. It's just that whenever they had a decision if they wanted to make something good or make it dumb and cheesy, they went with dumb and cheesy, which is kind of inexplicable.
Right, yeah. In The Spy Who Loved Me, they're in a submarine and they're shooting each other with machine guns, and that's not good enough. We want to see them in space with lasers.
Yeah. We don't care much about the science of how they get to space or how quickly they get to space.
Why lasers and how
and why they're outside the space station in this shuttle.
Yes. Yeah, none of it really.
The space station set is awesome too.
Yeah.
So
my
good.
favorite thing about it, which I don't think I really appreciated so much the last time, is as it's falling apart and starting to decompress, because it's made of all these like panels and everything, on the inside you see all like the walls are like rippling with like falling apart, which I know, I'm sure I saw it last time, but I don't think I appreciated like the thought that it takes to make it look like the entire set is like, you know, falling apart from the outside in that way, and that like somebody had to really go out of their way to design a set that was like mobile, that all these people could be operating in.
Right, yeah. It's the fact that they knew they were getting to destroy this place completely while they were building it, you know?
Yeah, but they couldn't like
Or
just
that
they couldn't just
it.
wreck it.
Yeah.
They had to make it so the set was not going to be destroyed, but flexible enough to like look like it was falling apart. But then if you compare it to Star Wars, it's not as good. It's like they're trying to do the Star Wars thing, trying to cash in on that. But that is exactly, they are inviting the comparison by changing the movie from whatever they change it to.
In Star Wars, up until the point where the Death Star explodes, all the people inside of it are fucking chill.
That's not the comparison I was talking about. I was talking about just the sets and the lasers and stuff, the special effects, stuff like that. Star Wars is doing all that stuff much better.
No, that's the comparison you were making.
They're chill because they have no idea that the thing can even be like.
Yeah,
right.
Because
hurt at all.
the Death Star set doesn't have like cool moving parts where
Because the Death Star was like way more.
it's not a
advanced and
battle
badass
damage
than-
set, you know? It doesn't have like the dino damage set. I mean, the battle damage.
Dino damage.
You know what I'm talking about?
Is that like a He-Man thing? I can't remember. It was like a toy. It was
the
definitely
Jurassic
a toy.
Park toys.
Yeah,
It used to be you could buy it and then you could peel away a little
For
chunk off
dino
of the
damage.
off the dinosaur's thigh
I remember
and see
that.
like a little dino bone inside. And it's like
Right.
dino damage T-Rex. Which is awesome.
And totally not.
Did you guys ever have Dino Riders?
Yes.
Oh my god, they're so cool.
I
They're
did not
so
have Dino
cool.
Riders.
They should make that into a movie.
They did. It was a show.
No, they should make it into a live action feature film.
For
That
adults.
sounds awesome.
Yeah. Let
Like
me direct
R-rated.
it. Let
Yes.
that be my
R-rated.
introduction
man.
to the world
I want to ride a dinosaur
with lasers on its head.
with fucking lasers on its head. Sorry, excuse me. I've been using a lot of swears tonight.
This is an R-rated podcast.
Apologies
so.
to the listeners who are offended by that.
Should we do another thing that I like?
I guess.
I
Being a
felt
little
like you guys
vague.
are losing momentum here.
Oh, another thing you like about Moonraker.
Oh.
I thought you were just saying, should we do another thing that I like?
Like as opposed to podcasting about Moonraker.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, I've had quite enough of this. Let's do something
Let's
that I
keep
enjoy.
talking about which is a better kisser, Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan.
I mean, it's really it's a coin flip for me. Brosnan seems a little aggressive, but I hate Joss's girlfriend Dolly, but I do like her dress that she's in when we first meet her. I think it's a very good look for her.
Because her boobs
You
are
just
exposed?
love huge tits.
That is that could be a part of it. I'm not going to put a name on exactly what I like about it. I just think it was just
We've given you two, boobs and tits.
well, no, I think because it's hard to believe that Jaws' heart was softened by anything. But if I was ever going to believe it, I know exactly what he saw in her.
That's the only thing that was softened, if you know what I'm saying. Hey now.
Of course,
Oh, jeez.
that does turn him into the completely like full Wile E. Coyote mode.
Yeah, I was thinking about it on the way here, and like for me, I think if the Jaws plotline and the just Jaws element was taken out of this movie, it would be a better film. I think the Jaws side plot
Yeah,
is silly,
Yeah.
and
you,
that's the
and you remember
silliest
why?
thing.
You remember why he became a good guy in this, and it was
Because
because
the little kid
a
wrote
little
the
kid
director a
wrote
letter.
Lewis Gilbert a letter saying he wanted to see more Jaws, but he thinks he should be a good guy. And
Ooh,
this is
my Santa.
And this is exactly why you don't let little kids direct movies. This is if I've said it once, I've said it a million times.
No, you don't let them direct movies. You just direct the movie based on the letters they write you in crayon.
Yeah, and that little kid was no little kid at all. It's Albert Cubby Broccoli writing Lewis Gilbert letters in crayons. I think Jaws should be the good guy.
If I,
$, $sign.
$sign, $sign, $sign.
if I pretend to be a kid, he'll take my notes.
Yeah, it's the only way.
I wonder if there. I wonder if there's anyone who ever had to do that in the industry. Like, yeah, I give the director notes all the time, but he doesn't listen unless I pretend to be a little kid
Who's
in
dying
Middle
of
America
cancer.
writing him
Yeah.
in crayon.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be a Make-A-Wish Foundation request.
Yeah.
where he's not doing it.
Yep, that's how they made Every Best Picture.
Yeah, so this little kid has a terminal illness, but he says the movie should end with the gunfight.
Yep.
Well, it's a romantic drama, but I guess we don't want to ruin this kid's dream. Keep fighting there, little Timmy.
The movie takes place before guns were invented, but I understand.
All right. Should we rate this thing?
Are we there already?
I don't know. Are we?
Are we?
Yeah. Okay.
Someone's
Alex has had enough of this. Yes. Oh, I had one more question. Do either of you guys know how artificial gravity works? Because I didn't look this up, but I was very
it's
curious.
Centrifugal force.
So they just it's like spinning around and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it wouldn't. It's nonsense the way they make it look in this.
Okay.
But
Just
technically on a space station, if you generate centrifugal force, you're pulled to whatever the outside of that circle.
So do you have to
is.
have like a certain speed? Oh, that's why all the space stations are like circular in space when they have those in the movies.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. Okay, good. I have no idea if you're actually saying something that's worthwhile that our listeners should pay attention to, or if you're just talking out your ass because
if you have
All the science nerds just perked up.
yeah.
Centrifugal force.
If you have like a yo-yo, right, and it's like a solid object on a string, and you let the string go all the way out, and you spin it in a circle, like holding the string.
Yes.
It pulls away from the string at a constant rate. Like it's pulling away from your hand at a constant rate.
Yes.
And that's the same idea. You get that constant
Right.
force.
And that
pulling
mimics
away,
gravity.
yeah.
I get it. That's pretty cool. I still don't think you should have an emergency stop button. And if you did, I don't think you should have it anywhere near where Bond is standing at any time. This reminds me of the you remember the John Lovitz SNL sketch that where they're all supervillains and he's playing Blofeld, and he's like at the end of it he's like, and I kind of got to question the logic of even having a self-destruct switch.
What is the point of this?
So
it says do not touch, do not press.
Yeah, right. And Bond's just like he gives it a look. He's like, hey, it'd be funny. Really throw a monkey wrench at things. Why don't we touch that button that's like mysteriously 5 inches away from us that says do not touch?
The big red button that says do not
Classic.
press. I'm right next to it.
Also, I did notice in the subsequent laser fight, there's definitely a shot where it looks like Bond gets shot right in the ass by a laser. They don't acknowledge it. There's no injury. But as these other guys are getting shot in the chest by lasers and dropping dead, he definitely, as he's jumping on the train, gets a laser right in the tuchus.
The spacewalk laser fight has tons of carnage. There's guys getting blasted and like drifting into the sun.
But it's chaos. It is literally, you know what it reminded me of? The Thunderball,
awesome.
the Thunderball scuba diving thing, except like
Way more awesome.
Instead of being boring and stupid in slow motion, it's boring and stupid
In
at
slow motion.
like a million miles an hour. Like there's all sorts of crazy shit happening, but none of it is interesting or
There's like a guy spinning out of control. I saw that was pretty
it's like,
cool.
it's just as boring as the scuba fight. It just seems better because it's chaotic and there's a lot of shit happening.
It's
I'm
also
like, oh my god, I'm about to seize, but like
It's also a good way to have like a massive gunfight in a movie and not have to worry about like bullet hits or blood or
That's
anything.
true. No squibs.
Because
No-
the lasers like don't make sense. It's literally just people shooting and then going, and then they just put the laser in after.
I think they did little things where they had their chest pieces like kind of
they did have things
firecracker
exploding
and stuff.
fire. Yeah, they
which
did.
looked cool.
Don't
Especially with the screaming, the terror. The terror parts of this movie are really terrifying.
Yes. Yep.
Just being out in space, being told to just go out there and laser whoever you can, and then just getting blasted into oblivion.
And let's not forget, none of that is the actual climax of the movie. We also have the stupid thing where they're chasing down the globes in the plane and lasering them, which is supposed to be suspenseful and conjures no suspense whatsoever and is also stupid and really weak.
Which wouldn't have happened if Bond didn't take the time to look through the window and interrupt Jaws and his girlfriend having champagne in the space station that was going to explode to tell them to bend a big pipe so that he could get away.
And also, Jaws and his girlfriend survive despite the fact that everyone else has to have an escape pod and they just get like blown in a piece of debris to the earth and somehow survive.
There's a throwaway line where they say they were picked up by one of the other space shuttles.
I guess it doesn't say, it doesn't specify
But
whether they
how
were
the
alive or
fuck
not.
would that happen?
Well, yeah, I have no idea.
The movie should have ended with a tag, like a bumper at the end where it's Jaws and his girl like
We're
doing
incinerated.
Oh,
we're
you know what would've
incinerated
been
on
great
reentry.
is they don't get exploded by the space station, but they are stuck in space. And guess who finds them? Aliens. The aliens that need to understand what human love is.
And that is a prequel to the movie Alien, because that is what they think of human love after they've witnessed.
I mean, that's
Jaws,
not
that tiny
that
girl
wouldn't be
having
out of
sex.
place in this movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yes. And then actually a surprisingly solid button at the end where they're boning in space.
Oh,
Jaws,
yeah.
and
He's
Q
attempting
has a
re-entry.
great line where, attempting
Oh,
re-entry.
yeah, that's great.
That is great.
So that's another thing I like about it.
The attempting re-entry
I thought of like 5
line.
or 6 things I really liked about this movie.
I think that's something they should bring back to the modern Bond movies. It's like end it with a button about Bond having
Boning
sex.
somebody?
Yeah.
Yes. yeah, sure. I mean, he doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be having sex with a woman. They could,
but they would have to get that
updated for modern times.
Yeah. Bond is woke as fuck.
Yeah.
but it has to
Seems he's having consensual sex, sir.
but it has to be
Dear Lord 007, did she consent to this? Yes, sir. Very well. Carry on.
but it has to be Q.
We'll all continue watching.
yeah, it has to be Q creepily watching him. I don't know if the new Q can do that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in his range.
What is the last one? Was it a Brosnan one where he's got the remote control thing that he watches him with?
That was the Golden Gate Bridge one with
View to a Kill.
Yeah,
View
to a Kill.
Yeah, that's right.
when he drives
Oh
a
my
little
God.
robot into her
Yeah.
house to watch them in the shower.
Oh my God. We should have redone View to a Kill. It's such a better movie.
It's
Oh my God, it's so much better. I mean, it's all. If you're talking about the awful ones, it is the second best awful one.
This one, it's just, in listening to some of our podcasts, I feel like there's this scale, this spectrum, and there's a point where the absurdity or the badness goes past where it's just absolutely enjoyable to me. And that same boundary, when it goes past there for Harris, it's just hate.
Yeah, it's true. There's like a tipping point for the ridiculousness.
Because I listened to some of what was it? Living Daylights,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
you got Yorgi and the Milkman. That's hilarious. I love it. And Harris is like, but it's bad.
But I actually gave Living Daylights. I gave Living Daylights like a half decent score. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
But you didn't enjoy this at all?
There's a point at which it goes to, like, Diamonds Are Forever is stupid as hell, and
Right.
I love that movie. It is
Right.
literally like, it might be one of my top 5 favorites of all time. And even though it's kind of dumb, but it's like the right kind of dumb. It's like dumb, but it's taking itself seriously to a certain extent. That's why I think View to a Kill, also very dumb, but also kind of taking itself seriously. So when it's funny and absurd and stuff, it's doing it with a straight face. This one is like going out of its way to trivialize stuff and make it kind of stupid. And Octopussy's kind of the same way. I feel like I've got like this. There are some that are just too stupid and don't even feel like they're respecting my intelligence enough to try. That's where I get upset. Like, I don't have a problem with it being dumb and fun. Like, that can be
It's
okay.
It's just so sad for you that you can't have fun because you're wrong.
No, I just enjoy the movies that are better.
Sad.
Give us your rating.
Yeah.
What did I give this one? 002?
Yeah, it has to be better than that. That's too.
No, I really think this is an awful movie, but
It has to be better than that.
I just can't. I can't. This is not a good movie. It's
You can't go higher than a 2.
Come on.
2 is harsh.
You watched it again.
I did watch it again. It just confirmed all the things I hate. Fine, you guys can guilt me into a 00. I just can't
Look
do
here.
it.
You want
It's
me
so
to help you
bad.
out? Here, let's see
So
what you rated
bad.
some other stuff.
Yeah.
What's your other, like, off the top of your head movie that you hate? A Bond movie that sucks.
Golden Gun's pretty bad. Modern Majesty's Secret Service.
Golden Gun, you gave a 5.
You give a 5 to Golden Gun. Golden Gun's worse.
It's not worse than this.
It's worse.
What's my next? What are my lowest scores?
Well, you originally gave On Her Majesty's Secret Service a 3, and then you changed it to a 5. You gave.
Is this my lowest score? This 002?
No, you have another one. You gave Tomorrow Never Dies a 2.
Oh,
Also
that's
very harsh.
That's pretty terrible.
You gave something a
not better
4. You gave View to a Kill a 4. You gave.
Honestly, now I'm thinking I should have given much higher scores to everything else. Actually, could I change my View to a Kill and Tomorrow Never Dies scores? Because I feel like I was a little mean to those. This is not a good movie. I would if I had
think
to
about
go,
it this way: if
actually,
you change
I
your
feel-
score on this to higher, it will be like you're changing those other scores.
No, it'll be like I'm changing those other
You
scores
gave
lower.
Never
I
Say
want the
Never
opposite of that.
Again a 5.
No,
Never
I
say.
think you're mixed up on that.
Oh yeah, I kind of like Never Say Never Again. It's a cheesy action movie, but
You gave Die Another Day a 4. This movie is leaps and bounds better than Die Another Day.
Yeah.
well, God, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. So clearly, in the moment, I must have taken leave of my senses and given.
You were
Die
jacking
Another-
it to
Another Day.
Madonna or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with me.
You're just trying to spite
Die
us.
Another Day.
You like this movie more than you're willing to let on.
Yeah.
No,
He's
I-
gonna leave here and be like, tell everyone like, yo, you should check out Moonraker. It's fucking good, bro.
That is not going to happen. No, I will say that honestly, I feel bad about giving A View to a Kill and whatever that other one was, Tomorrow Never Dies. I was probably punitive on those ones unnecessarily, possibly. Those ones should probably be a little bit higher. And so out of respect for that, the fact that I really wish I could raise those scores, I'm going to keep this one at a 2.
Good.
Because it is definitely significantly worse than both of those movies. And I feel like it would be bad of me to imply that it's somehow closer to that level of movie.
Good.
All right, so
grief.
Harris gives this one a 4.
Yeah.
No, I'm sticking with my 002.
No, we add them together.
Oh.
I can't do it.
You gave it a 2 twice. That's a 4.
I can't do it. And I really wish I could give Die Another Day a lower score because it's that one is also a 2. But
Well, I guess we'll have to leave that for another day.
I mean, I did like the bad guy in Die Another Day. Maybe that's what I was just jiving on the boring British guy who's
The Ice
actually a
Castle guy?
Korean guy. No, the main bad guy and his Nintendo Power Glove suit.
Yeah.
He's so bad. Oh my
It's
God! Why didn't we watch that again? That's a fun bad movie.
Good God.
Maybe that's why I gave it a higher
Oh,
score.
Gustav Graves.
Yeah,
That's-
Gustav
that's-
Graves,
I'm
yes,
like, I
yeah,
know his name.
absolutely.
I can think of
and
it.
that ridiculous sword fight they
Yeah.
have.
His real name is
Oh.
like what, General something?
And Rosamund Pike in a sports bra. That was actually that's a fun bad movie. That's why I gave it 2 points higher than this. This one wasn't fun.
This one was fun.
I had so much fun.
Basically, the only reason it gets the 2 points are for like the button and Drax and some of the creepy shit that happens in the creepy scenes that I wish they had just made a different creepy Bond movie. That was like Bond the horror
I like
movie.
the locales. I like that this one goes to Rio.
Yeah, and I like the sets too.
Yeah, the sets are great.
Okay,
The sets
fine.
are
All right, fine.
really
I guess
good.
there's 3 things I like. I'll give it a 3.
Yes.
Finally.
Viewers, or listeners, I'm sorry I've disappointed you by caving on this one. It really isn't a good movie. Do not watch Moonraker.
I was a
It
loyal
is-
Harrisite for so long.
It was one of the worst. Yeah,
And
it,
then-
Winston gave
then he
Moonraker a 3.
caved.
it was one of the worst Bond movies in the history of the franchise. But I have apparently given also pretty bad movies higher scores.
I'm just
so.
imagining a guy with like a room, sitting in a room that's covered wall to wall with pictures of you, and like he's having a watershed moment of.
Where would he get pictures of me?
No,
Telephoto
he
lens.
just has them.
So what did you guys give this movie, and what are you going to do to compensate me for?
I'll jump
Now
in.
you have
because
to lower
I
your
think
score.
we should save Colin for last for this one. So my previous score was a 9, a 009. Now, I'm going to be real. And, like, I do enjoy the hell out of this movie. But I can admit that it's flawed. Slightly flawed. And, comparing it to some of the other things that I have since given a rating to, I think it's fair for me to dock this down to a 008.
I feel like you should go way lower than that. I'm still shocked that this is that high, but
Well,
It's-
other
it
things I
seems-
had given
seems
a
fair.
007, I say to myself, would I rather watch Moonraker again or watch this movie? And I want to watch Moonraker. So
all right. Well, there you have it. That makes sense.
it's just fun. Like I said, it's got all the things that a Bond movie should have. And I'm talking like maybe for a teenager. You're a happy-go-lucky kid. You're like, I'm gonna go to the movies and see something that I like. What should I see? Oh, I'll see this James Bond movie, and then you're gonna come out of that and you're gonna be happy again because it's got everything that a kid could want.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's right.
not like in today's day and age where we expect Daniel Craig serious, kind of movies. It's like for today's day and age, it's not it's not what we expect for Bond, and maybe that's why people don't like it. What I was going to say earlier is that the research I had done was that at the time this movie was reviewed negatively, but modern reviewers have gone back and looked at it with a different eye, look to the past, and people are appreciating it now for different reasons. They're feeling like people were a little too harsh just because it came after Spy Who Loved Me, and they were probably just comparing it to that kind of thing.
It's fucking great. Highlight of my day.
So
9.
9? You're
Yes.
sticking? Oh my god!
Loved it. Love it every time.
Yeah. I
Harris has left the room.
no, I'm just looking at No, I was just wondering. So what I was thinking of while you were talking there, I was thinking about how we started this podcast because it was like all about nostalgia and sort of our feelings on watching these movies when we were younger, and I think that kind of plays into my rankings of these movies in that, like, when I was young, I think I enjoyed a lot of the stupid, goofy shit.
Yeah.
And then part of what I realized as I got older was when I'm watching these things, it's like I became like a little disillusioned by, like, oh my god, the pigeon doing a double take, the slide whistle on the car jump, all the stupid things that I was just like, oh, this is so stupid and cheesy. I can't believe I enjoyed this when I was a kid, and as an adult, I can't enjoy, like, you can't, like, once you know something's dumb, you can't unknow that it's dumb. Like, you can't, like, just keep on, like, thinking, yeah, this makes sense. You don't enjoy the same things you do as a kid, because when you're a kid, you're stupid. You have no taste. And then your taste develops, and then you can't enjoy all the same things you did as a kid. So, like, I still gravitate towards the elements, the adventure and the wish fulfillment and the intrigue and the plot twists and all that stuff that I always liked about these movies. But I think I, like, resent the dumb things and can't get over, like, how little sense they make, or how cheesy they are, or how goofy they are.
Yeah, there's something to that. So that there are some movies that you watch and you are disillusioned and you say, "Wow, I can't believe I like
Right.
this." But then there's some things that, like, that quality is what you like about it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this movie for me falls into that. That, like, I know it's not good by definition of, like, what we consider good now as adults and in today's, like, standard of movie making, but it still, to me, is enjoyable because I know, like, I enjoyed it as a kid
It lets
or
you tap
something.
into that feeling.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, like, when you're a kid, you're stupider, and
Instead of
like,
rolling
you're
my
less
eyes,
of a good
I
person.
laugh at certain
But
things.
like, but you also want to tap into that innocence, that wonder. Like, you there are things about being young that are, yeah, like, objectively not as good about as you learn when you mature. But there are things when you have matured, you want to tap into, like, feelings that you had when you were learning how to feel feelings and things like that.
Yeah,
Learn
this is
how
getting
to feel
deep.
feelings.
But now that you're a parent, are you going to try to, like, as Maya gets older and then she realizes, like, she doesn't like, Blue's Clues as much anymore, are you going to tell her, are you going to try to edit it? Or are you going to be like, oh, you never liked Blue's Clues. You were always too good for that
shit. Steve is a son of a bitch. Is that his name?
I don't know. I just, when Harris was talking about this, I was just getting paranoid. I was like, I wonder if my parents were, like, editing out all this stuff they didn't like about of me retroactively by telling me I didn't remember things. Because I was thinking about, like, my mom visited, and when I was young, I used to have, like, phases where I would only eat one thing, like I would only eat American cheese, and that's it, or whatever. And I remember them telling.
How long did you survive on American cheese?
52 slices of
A
American
while.
cheese.
Yeah, it's interesting, but, like, so, like, and then I was like, oh yeah, I think I had there was one where it was, like, only fish sticks, like, for a while.
Only fish.
And my mom was
fish
like,
dicks?
and my,
How do you get just the dicks off of them? Those are actually hard to find.
it's a little less slippery than you think.
Oh, it's dry like a Roger Moore kiss.
Yeah, I had this weird fish dick phase.
But But I was like, oh yeah, I remember I had like a fish sticks one, and I don't even like. I've never eaten fish stick. And my mom was like, no, you never had that, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I did. And I was like, maybe her memory's just like not as good because she's older, or maybe she's just like trying to edit my past.
So just in terms of popular consensus, because you threw out a lot of this critical reappraisal nonsense, on Letterboxd, which is sort of a social movie ranking thing, Moonraker has a 2.8 out of 5, which is not bad in a vacuum. It is one of the lowest ratings of any Bond movie. I think only Die Another Day is a 2.4. And Man with the Golden Gun and a few others, Quantum of Solace, are like 2.8, 2.9. But nowhere near the normal 3-point-something and up to almost 4 that all the other ones. No. So I'm just saying the people have spoken, and the people agree with me. One of the worst Bond movies.
Well, I think also for me, one of the reasons I was interested in this podcast as an experiment was because I feel like so many people I talk to, especially in today's world, like people don't have real opinions anymore. They're just spouting to you like what they read about a movie, or quoting some critic or whatever. And I'm like, no, what do you really think? Like, or like people will say they like a movie. For instance, like I used to at my old job get to see movies like before they came out, and we'd watch them, and like people would say like, yeah, I really liked it. And then Last Jedi would come out, and everybody, or a lot of people hated that movie. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you see everyone's opinion change, or you overhear them at a party or something, like talking to someone saying like how much they hated it, and I'm like.
Oh, also like test screenings or critic screenings or whatever, things people see at festivals. Everyone walks out of every festival going, wow. Oh my God, it was so amazing. I loved it. Like a free movie that you get to see before everyone else is automatically at least like 20% better than you think it is. Yeah. And it's really tough. Like, there was a time when I was a film critic and also now like going to festivals and stuff. And I always have to remind myself, you enjoyed this more than you probably would have otherwise. It's tough to like balance that out. And most people just see something for,
I wonder if there's something to what you're talking about, Matt, where it's basically herd philosophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the herd is doing this, we all think this.
Yeah.
Is there more of that in like
the Rotten Tomatoes
film industry criticism of now than ever before? Or you know what I mean? It's always
not to mention all the political impact of like, if you're not into woke culture, any movie with a female lead is, oh, now you're trying to jam female leads down my throat and I'm going to hate that because that, or, with like The Hunt, which was like, taken, Godhead's release date pushed back to just now because conservatives thought it was all about hating on conservatives or whatever, because the plot point is like, I think hunting red state people or something like that.
Yeah.
But apparently what a lot of people have said is that's not actually what that movie is about at all, but because that was the press release that got out, all of a sudden it was like being boycotted before anybody had even seen it.
That is a thing. Like, if you release a press release about a movie, you can turn a lot of people against it really hard in their opinions from that herd psychology really fast, no matter what the actual content is.
Right.
And I think you can see the same thing happening after the content is available or people have even digested the content. They'll still go with the herd logic of like, this is bad because this.
Right.
And also to again use The Last Jedi as an example, like things
which I kind of liked of all the 3 new ones.
Change over time. Yeah, I did like The Last Jedi, and I've always stuck to my guns with that. And I was like, this is a fine movie. It's like well crafted. I enjoy it. I like the twists that it took. And
me too.
The like how it was brave enough to like.
I liked it a lot more than The Force Awakens, which was just rehashing beat points from A New Hope.
Yeah, and I liked it better than the new one that just came out. It was like a hodgepodge of God knows
fan
what.
service and trying to tie up too many loose ends.
Yeah, but now in hindsight, a lot of those people who didn't like The Last Jedi are now saying like, oh, it's actually like the best. Dare I say that The Last Jedi is like the best of the 3? It is to me.
What you need to do is.
And so, like, sorry, just to interrupt. Sorry. Like, so now us going back and watching these movies that are like, old, it's okay for us to have a different opinion than what was previously stated about the movie. Like maybe something sucked at the time because of whatever was going on in the world or whatever. It wasn't like what But now with the power of hindsight, we can and like the changing times and stuff, we're able to apply different opinions onto.
I feel like we're segueing right into our bonus episode.
Are we? I don't know. What you should do is jump on the bandwagon of one particular thing that people don't like about the other Star Wars movies, like, and just build the herd from there.
Like that Jar Jar Binks, man.
Yeah, Jar Jar.
Best part of the prequel series.
Misa think no.
Well, I think you're right. We should end this and move on to our next venture.
I gotta take a quick break in one of the other rooms of this building. One of them with more plumbing than this.
Colin's gonna take a hefty dump.
All right.
No, I have to urinate. I was trying to say it.
This is what the people need to know.
Are we giving this a license to watch?
Well, it's a no vote
Yeah,
for me,
license
dog.
to watch.
But you knew that.
when you guys both didn't get to the end of our previous one, did you?
No, what happened?
The end of it, where me and Matt are like, they should show it in schools. Which I stand by.
Mandatory viewing.
Oh,
Mandatory
boy.
viewing.
I feel like this one is borderline at best.
Well, what
there are
happens if-
worse ways to spend 2 hours watching a Bond movie, and those worse ways are Die Another Day.
Okay. I think even if you think this is like a garbage Bond movie, it's still Bond in space, which you have to be curious about if you're a Bond fan.
It's the peak of something. I don't know if it's the peak of greatness, the peak of shit, or the peak of like
It's the peak of Bond in space. I'll admit that.
It's what I said before. You didn't make the greatest Bond movie ever, but
If
you
you
still hit a home run.
You made the greatest Bond in space movie
If
ever.
you met someone who had seen all the Bond movies and then you said, "What did you think of Moonraker?" and they were like, "Moon what?" You'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here and go watch this movie." Yeah.
Now, if you had somebody who saw all the Bond movies and you were like, "What was your favorite one?" and they were like, "Moonraker," you'd be like, "I think we need to talk. Like, are you okay? How are you emotionally? Like, what's
I like
going
this
on with
guy.
you? What are you on?"
Watch what you say. Do you know who you're talking to right now?
I like this person.
Yeah, I'd have to have a welfare fair check done on them regularly. There's something up with this guy. All right. So that's it. License to watch, reluctantly issued. Issued with major hesitations and caveats from the Minority Report.
We gave it a what did you give? An 8? No, wait. I gave it 8. You gave it
bumped
3.
up to a 3, so it's got the same score. It
8,
ended up-
3,
it ended up
9.
averaging
It
out to-
averages out to like a 6 point something. You round up, it's a 007, baby.
Ugh. Ugh.
Bad
taste in my
All right, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Real C-Rock.
Goodbye.
I thought you had more.
Bond.